This is a behind-the-scenes look at a real-world AI agent that was built without tool usage. In fact, I think this is a better way to go about building AI agents than the classic way with the LLM on a loop with tool usage. I think there's a couple of distinct, significant advantages that you get when you build it the way that I'm going to show in this video. Now, if we get 1,000 comments on this video, I'll share the code. So comment and help yourself get some of the code, because I think there's some unique things in here that I don't see other people doing that I'm going to show and give you a taste of. But there's a lot of code here, and so I'm not going to be able to show every line of the code in this video, or that's just not practical. I'd also like to point out that this agent is almost a year old, and it was built with GPT-4 before even 4.0 or Claude 3.5 Sonnet came out, and we could build a pretty good agent on this. And with the tool usage thing is, like, if you have really simple use cases, then tool usage as people do it in the LLM on a loop typically works pretty well. But in order to solve more complex, more challenging problems, I think the structure of the way that we built the agent here and the way that we've skipped over using tools is going to give you a lot of benefits and allow you to solve harder problems with an AI agent and open up the capabilities of what you can do with LLMs by a lot. I think we're surpassing tool usage in this code. And again, I'll show you that in a second. We're doing something that I call mini fine-tuning. We are triaging processes here, and so we're using AI models in a variety of different ways. And it's important that the high-level container of the project of the agent is actually deterministic code. It's not an LLM on a loop, although it is an LLM that's several places that can kind of be called multiple times, essentially, when you put it out there. Before we get into the specifics of the code, I need to explain a little bit about the background of the project so you can understand why we're doing things. This was a proof of concept for a product that we no longer are working on. It was called Hyperprompts. It was essentially, I thought, like a better version of ChatGPT. The interface, along with being able to use a wider variety of models, different image models, different language models, and stuff like that, and then some productivity features in it, like folder structure, which I thought 2 years ago I thought should have been in ChatGPT. Being able to search within there, having some kind of being able to like put multipliers and try things and test things a little bit better, and ultimately pivoted away from that product, but right around the time we were building this, and it wasn't because of this. In fact, this was a reason to keep it, because I think that what we built here was really cool, and I haven't seen anybody else in this space do anything close to what we've got here, and I think it would make it a lot easier, especially for less technical people, to come in and use AI models, and it'll make sense in a second. And before we go a little further, I know that this is a lot of code in one thing, and a lot of code is typically split up nowadays, but I learned coding when this was what an IDE was like. I don't even remember. I don't think there was any. The coloring is not nearly as distinct, and you couldn't code fold, and everything was basically just in one file. And so I have some, acknowledged maybe some bad habits in terms of just putting a lot of the code into one main file. But there were some speed advantages of this as a first version. So, if you hate that, you can put it in the comments, but just very classic old school. If you weren't coding 20 plus years ago, you don't know how good you have it today with IDEs and the amazing stuff that they do, and the productivity and all the ability to kind of highlight things in a variety of different colors is really, really useful. And then I love code folding. There's long-term memory in this agent, plus something I call system message injects, which is sort of like it enables the user to create properties and instruct the agent on how to act going forward. I think that the system message injects is actually closer to what ChatGPT memories are versus an actual long-term memory that essentially remembers everything. So there's a long-term memory part of the agent, and there's a variety of other pieces going on here. Grease Rails is I think maybe I should shoot a separate video just for that. This is kind of like guardrails, but more comprehensive. So it protects against certain things, but it also, there's certain paths where somebody comes in and let's say they say, how do I use Agent Talos? Then it takes it on a very deterministic path, and it actually doesn't run it through the agent. It goes and it gives a very standardized response, and it doesn't actually call an LLM, so it's much faster, much more controllable, much more reliable, and much less expensive. So there's a lot of paths like that that are just standard stuff that it checks first if somebody asks something really close to what's being asked. But also it can stop it from somebody from asking bad things as well. So it's a security and a kind of just sending people an initial triage for standardized responses. And there's quite a few different models that we're using here. So keep in mind that the software before was intended to allow people to use multiple models, and Agent Talos allowed them to instruct Agent Talos on what they wanted to do with compound statements that allowed them to use multiple models at the same time and in multiples. So I want 10 images of a monkey from DALL-E 3 and Midjourney. It could do that. And then what I'm going to demonstrate this, we have the only plans flag turned on, which doesn't actually run the models, but it'll show kind of the output of the instructions, which hopefully will be good enough. So let's take a look at like where the real, like the kind of the center point, the starting point of most of the magic happens. And to me, this is I think that the people who actually work with the LLMs will understand what I'm going to say here, and those that don't really do a whole lot with it, it might not make a whole lot of sense. And when it comes to building a really good prompt, what we had to do was you start off with a base prompt, and then it's not like we used a fancy software. We tested a million different responses. There's probably something on the order of 7 to 10 different iterations of the prompt where we tested it against a variety of different inputs. And if we go over here, there's a bunch of different inputs you can see I've tested it on, and then as those came through, we improved it and gave more examples. And you can see it's actually a very long prompt with very detailed instructions. So to me, the way to do this prompt is to have detailed instructions along with lots of examples. And the examples are a really great way to get it to do what you want to do. And also it enabled it to give the very structured JSON output. And I'm not going to show all the examples. And if we found something that didn't work, we could add to the correct response to the example and increase the some of the instructions. So there were probably about half as many examples and half as much instructions to get started. And this actually does a really cool job of figuring out what needs to happen, and even when you don't specifically tell it. Like I think that there was something in here where the user would ask for, give me a very creative model, and it knew which image model to go to without us telling it what a creative was. I think it was images that need to be very artistic, and so it interpreted creative as artistic, and it used the Niji model without. So the more examples and the more instructions you give it, at some point pretty rapidly you get to a point where it works almost every single time. So let's test a few inputs here. So right now we have, which one is not, let's see. So we went, what would it take to write a 300-word article on puppies, also generate a bunch of images. Oh, I think this is the user turning on the only plans flag. Let me, okay, so let's see. So it's asking, what would it take to write a 300-word article on puppies and also generate a bunch of images? So we'll run this. Oops, what was this? Okay, I was cleaning up the code and there was an error in there. There's going to be a bunch of print statements, but we'll be able to get to the very end here in a second. I'll let it run so you can see. Okay, so here's the response in JSON. It's not super readable right here, but only plans true, article, topic puppies. So it's going to create an article. We have an article writing agent that it doesn't actually call the agent. It calls a subset of the code of the agent to be more focused, calling the agent directly. The multi-agent architectures are inefficient. They tend to create extra costs from a coding standpoint. And then it has image requests, prompt, puppies, Dolly 310. Let's see. Let's add what would it take to all of these. And let me find another one. Okay, what would it take for what daily practices? I just kind of added that to the beginning. It's not really great grammar, but it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and clear, and we'll run it again. We're intentionally turning on the only plans because this is sort of old code, and I think trying to actually call the models will potentially cause some issues. So only plans true, medical. So we actually have a subset within here to go to PubMed to try to grab relevant. So it creates a PubMed query, and daily practice to boost your immune system. And the AI is set to default. So the default can be different things that it can be adjusted by the user just by telling it. So I plan to provide information on daily practices. I will also query PubMed for the topic daily. So this is actually the response from the model. So that worked fine. We'll run a few more here to show you a little bit more of some of the complexity that it can handle. Actually, this one's pretty good up here. This one's a little bit better. All three and Midjourney. We're going to do this one instead. And I could use different words here. What would you do? You do if I asked you to : All right. So let's run this one again. There's a few additional things here in the way that I deal with prompts. I enable some complexity while allowing for simple by breaking the prompt up into different parts. Hold on. It actually looks like it didn't do the only plans flag, so actually it looks like the models did run, except for the image models. So let's see. Give me a summary of, and it looks like we have something that didn't work here. Because it didn't, or did I? Oh, it did the give me a summary. Oh, okay. So it actually gave me, I didn't comment that out. Give me a summary of the URL. It actually did it correctly now that I look at it. Identified the URL, AI default, and it summarized that within there. Let's make sure we got some of these other ones. Okay, so. All right, we'll run this. For a second there was like, oh no, an error. But it worked. Okay, only plans true. LLM requests, prompt, write me a poem about ninjas, GPT-4 1, GPT 3.5 Claude Haiku 1, Claude Opus 1, image requests, prompt, Cool Ninja Dolly 3.5, and Midjourney 5. So it's interpreted all of those right there. And so what it would do is it would actually push, instead of using these as tools, it would push these through to the appropriate code. We'd have a run LLM request code that would parse the JSON and call GPT-4 with this prompt, GPT 3.5 with this prompt, this amount of times, etc. Same thing for image requests. It would prompt Dolly 3 and Midjourney, and we had a variety of variations with the only plans flag on right now, so it's not actually doing it. Let's see if I can find another good example. Here's maybe a practical example. Write a 1,500-word article about remodeling a kitchen and generate 12 Midjourney images with the prompt kitchen remodeling. Upgrade the Midjourney prompt. We had some upgrading. So also we have there we go. So the way our article writing agent and code worked, it could actually write an article of this length, very close to it. So there was some more kind of stuff we did in there because, you know, if you've ever tried to ask ChatGPT to write an article of a certain length, it doesn't do it. but the way we have it set up within our agent process, it is able to do it. So that's a little bit outside the scope of this video. If you leave a comment and you get the code, you can see some of how we solved that problem. We also had a process that gave the Midjourney prompt an upgrade. I don't know if it was complete yet. Only plans true. Article, topic, remodeling kitchen, word count 1500, image requests, prompt, prompt upgrade, kitchen remodeling, Midjourney 12. So it appears to be working, and this is a lot of like a triage agent to a significant degree, and it can be run on a loop because it was put through a front end where they could just talk to it back and forth and have a conversation. And there's a lot more going on here with the long-term memory, with some predefined instructions in Ragbot, with how we split up the prompts. We have agents, AI sessions, which helps us kind of track data. So there's a lot of I think cool stuff going on here. Anyway, let's see. Okay, so one of the big advantages of replacing tool usage is more control. By going in here and detailing this, I have a lot more control on when it determines what tool to use, really what code to send it down the path of, and how it uses that. And with typical tool usage, you just give it a brief instruction on what it does, but you can't give examples. With this, you can actually give examples of how to kind of use tools with nuance. Also with this, the tools can be integrated more. You get more integration among the tools with this type of coding. You can integrate multiple uses of tools. Again, it's not really using tools, it's just using code. And so sometimes that's important because what you pick here is affected by what you pick here and vice versa. And so if you pick them independently, you might get wrong or incorrect or incongruent outputs. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're still with me, thank you very much. Like and subscribe for more content. I plan on showing some additional agents that we have and some additional code and some future projects building on here with actual Python code. We love Python here, and happy to hear from you in the comments. Curious if anybody else has gone beyond tools as well or found limitations for using tools. Let me know what you think. Have a great day. Bye.